Now, if you run into a situation where when you dupe it, it's just not getting close enough to the actual, uh, it's just too hard to manipulate. Sometimes you find yourself just saying, no matter what I do in terms of grabbing edges and trying to make things work, it's just not giving me the real shape I want. It's just I'm distorting. You find yourself distorting the rib. What you can do is go back and let's see if I can find on my outliner. Um, okay. All right. So here are the circles I used for rib 4. Okay. There's a couple ways I can position them. What I'm going to do is, if you can see here in my outliner, I've got them all in a group. I'm just going to dupe that group. And I'm going to now, since I have 6, I'm going to make this circles for rib 7. And I can move them down. And that way I can hide, Control H, the circles for 4. Make sure, it's kind of hard to get all these circles out here. Now, rib 7 and rib 4 aren't exactly identical. So another thing I might want to do is take the rib curve I have for 3 and duplicate it. And move that duplicate. I'll change that name so I don't get confused to rib curve for 7. And let's see where it is. There it is. And you can see it's too, it's too small. If I hit R, at least get it out on the surface there a little bit. Maybe move it forward a little bit. And so I've got the curve now, but it's not, I've got the curve, but it's not matching exactly. So what I can do is I can go grab my shell again, make that live, and then I can grab CVs and move them along the surface, again knowing that the live setting is going to help snap me somehow to the surface there. Okay. And I think this one went way off base. So I'm going to slide this. So it likes to be slid. It doesn't seem to like, see, it keeps telling me slide, so I can slide along the surface. Now let's go to the side view or the lateral view here. Go back to the X-ray and try to see where I'm going here. So I'll go down for 7. So I'm using the middle mouse, and that seems to be working better. And sliding it. Now I want to hide or template just for a second my prototype so I can see where. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off that live setting up there and move this. So I'm doing the exact same thing I did in the very first video. I'm going to get things a little more relative. I want to make sure the B soft select's off as well. But see, that's way too far up. Should be back here. Okay, let's put the shell back on. Yeah, see, now I'm in better shape here. Okay, and let's make it live again. And again, I can slide things around. And using those two windows, get myself pretty close. So I'm going more on the ribs I've made than I am now on that diagram, because that diagram is trying to create the perspective that the ribs I've made actually are physically making. Okay, and trying to get the curve perfect is not necessarily, you want to get close, but it's not that big a deal, because I'm going to delete the history for the curve, modify and freeze this transformation, center it, pivot point. And what I'm going to do is just take the circles that I duplicated, hold down the C key, and snap them on that curve. So just to make my life easier, let's go back to the perspective window and let's go to the display and hide and take off the live so that the circles can go where I want them to go here. Okay, so there's the first one. See, it snapped it to the surface because that was the live object. So now I can get it to come up with my... Now these are relatively, the angle of these should be pretty close because they were used to make a rib. And all I'm doing is selecting it, holding down the letter C, middle mouse dragging on the curve to get them back in position. So I'm actually going to take them back out. All I'm doing is using this curve as a guide. Now I have my circles. We made that collection here. And I'm just going to move them, now that they've been positioned, back out and go through and pick them in the order. Oops. Let me see if the order is correct here. Why is it not going to... Ha! Did I screw up the order when I moved them? I don't think so. So let's do it on the screen here. And let's loft it. And then let's put the surface back. First let's center it. And put the surface back where we wanted it to be. And let's see if I messed up someplace. It looks a little flat right there, so see what we can do to fix that. There we go. Seem to have a little odd thing going on here. I'm not sure. Okay, it looks okay when I go to 3. But it's almost like, I wonder if it twisted right there. I think it has to do with, here we go, the angle of that circle is kind of confusing me. It was making it flat. Alright, so that's the point. Now you can work with these circles and continue to kind of recreate the positioning you wanted. And again, you can turn the shell back on and use that then as a guide to see where you are. So the downside of using the circles like this is you now have to go make the cap and um, the articulating point for the cartilage. But the upside is, so now the upside is I can make the last bit of adjustments. You can see I'm getting that face down there to open up where I want it to be against those two vertebrae. And I can still maintain contact with that transverse. Okay. Now let's just do one more thing here. Let's close this.